Hi, and welcome to our Facebook Live, where UC Davis Mind Institute experts provide information about neurodevelopmental disabilities. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marianne Sharp. Did you know that the Mind Institute offers several support groups for parents and families of individuals with autism, Fragile X syndrome, Down syndrome, and other neurodevelopmental disabilities? Today, we are going to talk all about these support groups as well as other resources that are available at the Mind Institute. I have with me today 5 experts. We have a true all-star cast here, as you can see. The first is Maribel Hernandez, a community outreach specialist with the Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities at the Mind Institute. We have Elizabeth Morgan, the founder and facilitator of Sankofa, which is a group for Black families of children with developmental disabilities. She is also an assistant professor in the Doctorate of Educational Leadership program at Sacramento State University. We have Benita Shaw, who is a facilitator with Sankofa and a community education specialist with the Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. Cecilia Corral, who is a community education specialist with the Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, and Catherine Harlan Owens, a patient navigator with the Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. Thank you all so much for being with us today. If you have questions today, please do post them in the comments and our experts will answer them toward the end of the discussion. So a lot of people may not realize that the Mind Institute does have free support groups for parents and families of autistic individuals, as well as those with other neurodevelopmental and disabilities. And that's why we want to talk about this today. We have English speaking groups, Spanish speaking groups, as well as a group that is focused on the needs of Black families. And we're going to talk about all of them. So let's start with Family Navigator, which has now served more than 560 families since it was created in 2018. It's amazing. It is both a referral-based program as well as a parent support group. And we're going to start with Catherine, who is heavily involved with Family Navigator. So Catherine, what is it? How does it work? And who is eligible?
Thanks, Marianne. So Family Navigator is a program that is referral-based at the Mind Institute, which means that it's specific to families that have either received diagnosis at the Mind Institute or come to the Mind Institute for follow-up care. So what we really aim to do in the Family Navigator coaching program is help families with understanding the service navigation system. So that's helping with individual educational plans through the public schools, accessing regional center services, and then also understanding what they can access within UC Davis Health or in the community. So that is open to anyone that comes to the Mind, but then we also have our support groups, which are open to anyone in the community. And they are, we have 2 different ones. We have our Family Navigator support group, which runs the first Friday of every month. And Benita is our wonderful facilitator there. And we also have a free group that is specific to teens and adults, which is called PACT, which is also free and open to the community.
Okay, free and open to the community. We'd love to hear that. Our next group has been around for about 8 years. Sankofa is an outreach group for Black families of children with developmental disabilities. Dr. Morgan, you founded the group. You've facilitated it for years. Let's start by asking, what does Sankofa mean and why you created the group?
Yeah, thank you, Marianne. So Sankofa actually is a concept that comes from the West Africa. And so specifically the region that we now call Ghana. And it means literally go back and fetch it or go get it. And so the idea is that the information that you get, you give back, right, to your community. And that's really what Sankofa is all about. Sankofa was started by and for Black families who have children with neurodevelopmental disabilities and other disabilities. I'm also a parent of a child on the autism spectrum. And we really brought this and have this for our communities as a resource. So it's a great support system, but then also a way for people to get information that's culturally sensitive and relevant, so that they can be able to use it in their advocacy. And so that's what Sankofa is all about.
Okay, thank you so much. Benita, you are also very involved in Sankofa. I was hoping you could share with us sort of the nuts and bolts of the program, who takes part, when you meet, and maybe a little bit about the community that's been built over the years.
Absolutely. Thanks, Marianne. So the meeting, let me start off with the meeting. It's every 4th Wednesday of the month. That is on Zoom. and it's from 6 to 8. And we're working on meeting in person. That'll happen again, hopefully in June. And kind of the nuts and bolts are as we gather information from the community that we serve, right? And we deliver training and to help them to feel where they come to a place that they can trust in a community, to be able to ask those difficult questions or be able to just be themselves, which sometimes can be misunderstood when they're out in other areas. And then when we gather that information in the communities, we kind of bring topics back to them in regards to what they want to hear and what the more they want to learn, and to give so them to get that knowledge, and I think that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. And, all is welcome. We do not turn anyone away.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you both so much. The Mind Institute also has a popular support group of Spanish speakers. That's Padres para Padres. Cecilia, I know you are the coordinator for the group. Can you tell us a little bit about it? What sort of needs and challenges are being addressed and how people can take part?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Marianne. Good morning. This is a support group that has been in Sacramento County for many, many years. A lot of parents feel that this support group is family because they have been around a lot of years. And this group is for parents with children with developmental disabilities, totally in Spanish. We don't speak English, we only speak Spanish right there. We have some presentations and we have some talks, like we can support each other, we can look for resources, we can exchange experiences, we can support in with some crisis, like just give some advice, parent-to-parent advice that I think it's very important to say that this is a parent support group, and the meetings are the first Tuesday of the month, 6 to 8. We are in Zoom right now. We are talking about to do some things, some events in person. And we have a presentation, but we have some community events, like some picnics, like Easter, that kind of events, just to be together and support each other. This is only for Sacramento County, but we have another group that is not like a support group, but it's a parents group. The name is Familias Primero. And it's Junta para la Comunidad, that's the name, and this is open to all public. This is a collaboration with Valley Regional Center, Valley Mountain Regional Center, and a group that it's Sonora, from Sonora, California, that it's Familias Primero. Families first. And I needed to talk a little bit about this because I think this is open to all the community. And the first one is only for Sacramento. Padres para Padres is only for Sacramento County because of the resources. And you can call me and I will be very happy to help the parents that they are interested. Both are in the Spanish.
Okay, that's wonderful. And by the way, we will be posting links to the groups and for more information to the Mind Institute website so that you can find out more. You don't have to jot this all down immediately. We'll put those links in the comments. I'm also really,
Thank you.
Of course, I'm really encouraged to hear that some of the groups are returning to meeting in person, hopefully in the near future. But I think it was also wonderful that we could have that virtual option to keep those connections intact as much as we could. So thank you. Maribel, in addition to Padres para Padres, the Mind Institute is also part of Colaboración Latina. That group has members from organizations throughout California, right? Could you tell us a little bit about that one?
Hello, everyone. Yes, Marianne. So we just start Colaboración Latina on January of 2022. And we just, it was an idea for two heads working with the community, and then we moved to 13 members, and now we are 30. So after 14 months, we are 30 members. We are 30 professionals from organizations that support or provide services to the families, and it's across California. So this is not only here, but this is across California. And we have these meetings every month, so to talk about what are the needs in our community. So we are on the same page. We're working with disability rights. We're working with the state council. We have the PTI, that is the Parenting Training Center for the Special Education. And and this is my first meeting in Spanish. So the people, the members, all of them speak Spanish. And what we do, we create those, those opportunities, those events, those trainings that, we really, the people that we belong to this group, we really believe that the families need to have that access to the services, to the information, not just in Spanish, but that it's linguistically and culturally appropriate. That's our goal, and we're working. We meet every month. We have a presentation on September because that's the a very specific month for our community, very special month for our community. So that's what we do with the Colaboración Latina.
It's wonderful. Information is everything, right? But sometimes it's hard to know where to look to find it. Okay.
Can I jump a little bit?
Of course, please go ahead.
I just want to mention that Colaboración Latina, Maribel sends an email with sometimes it's like 8 or 9 or 7 trainings per week in Spanish. I think it's very important to say that because the people is having access for these trainings for these all agencies. And Maribel puts everything together, and she's giving that information to the parents.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Cecilia, for adding that. Let's give people a little bit of more of an idea of what a typical meeting might be like. Maybe they might be interested in joining, but they're not really sure what to expect. Let's start with Family Navigator. Catherine, what's a typical Family Navigator parent support group meeting like?
Well, it's a little bit different every single month. We kind of like to keep it fresh and have new topics. So the Family Navigator group is the first Friday of every month from 9 to 10:30. So we always have a topic that we discuss, which typically is a topic that either the Family Navigator coaches have come up with or someone has requested to get a little bit more training and education on. So last month I talked about technology and helping with supporting limiting screen time for neurodiverse kids. That was a topic that's come up before. But Benita, generally just opens it up in the beginning to do check-ins and see where the questions are and really lets it be parent-led, which I think is really special about the Family Navigator group is we really just want our families to tell us what they need to talk about or want to talk about. And then we have this great group of people that can answer questions. So it's a little combo of education at the same time that you're getting, that kind of parent to parent, real emotional kind of support as well. The teen and adult group, which is called PACT, they meet on the 3rd Friday. So it's actually coming up this Friday, March 17th, from 11:30 to 1. And this group, I think it's a little bit different because I think with teen and adults, and especially transitional services, a lot of the parents are really looking for specific topics and, they've been navigating these systems for a bit longer than some of our parents have that come to the general Family Navigator group. So they also have really great topics, like April is all about executive functioning. The June topic is about college supports. So that kind of skews a little bit more towards, I think, a lot of that education and resource navigation that the teens and adult community need. But yeah, like I said, we tend to just sort of let our parents lead and see where people's needs are and just be there for support.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Dr. Morgan, how about a Sankofa meeting? Obviously, there's probably not a typical meeting, it sounds like, for any of these, but could you give us a sense of what a meeting is like, what common topics are?
Yeah, sure. I think, first of all, I should definitely say that Sankofa has been a group for parents and providers who are care for children who have the intersectional identities of being Black and disabled. And so because of that, every year we really make a big point in to be intentional about really gathering information from the community that we're serving on what are the topics that they would like to discuss for the year. So we have an annual check-in meetings as well as surveys that we give out to be able to gather that information. And from there, we come up with the topics on the trainings. And then there's some additional layers of the trainings, right? So if we're working with a community partner for a training, we're meeting with that community partner, talking about the types of things that our families really want to learn about, need to hear about. And then we also, we are very intentional about making sure that the information that is being given is really mindful of the Black experience, right? And so that's why, it's not just a generic presentation. It's about really supporting the community partners to providing a training that really supports the needs of our families. And so keeping many factors in consideration for that. And us as leadership, we support them in that. So the types of topics that we do include, understanding behavioral plans, understanding school systems, understanding regional service systems and how to partner with them, advocacy for assistive technology, advocacy and support, and just understanding how to have personal mental health, and mental health is a priority in your family. We've also discussed trauma, right? And how trauma is a factor when we are, working with Black families. And so we've had a variety of topics over the years. Like you said, we've been going for 8 years. So there's been quite a bit of discussions that we've had. But I think the most important thing that we have is lots of laughter, lots of opportunity to be able to share our experiences with one another, to be our authentic selves, and just to have a space to just be, right? And not have to explain the many parts of ourselves and our families that we have to in our broader communities. So, it's just providing that on a monthly basis for our families. So we really feel like it's a respite, right? It's a mental and emotional respite for many families to be a part of every month.
Oh, that's awesome. Benita, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, other than what Dr. Morgan said, I think it's also a place that our families have learned to have that trust factor, to talk about the struggles we've had with our loved one in regards to them their skin being a weapon towards when they're in a school system, and feeling comfortable to be able to say those things in that group and not get a look or whatever the case may be. It's just making that community of trust and just say, while there's not a direct solution, we get it. You're with a group of people that understand, and we're building a community of brothers and sisters to say, I got it. And it's nice to go away of knowing that someone understands that.
That's wonderful. Thank you both so much. Cecilia, how about Padres para Padres? What sorts of issues usually come up in those meetings?
Yeah, thank you, Marianne. On these meetings, they are like, we have a presentation for 1 hour, and the other hour we spent chatting with the parents. We try to do these presentations like a professional, or to navigate the system, or to self-care, or something that is going to empower parents to be more effective, like getting the services that they need for their kids and navigate the system. Not all of them, they are like navigate the system, like SSI, Social Security income, or in-home support services, or how to move in ALTA, how to get those services. We have the professionals from those agencies. And in another meetings, we have like people who can help us how to navigate, how organize our papers, how to self-care, because it's very important for us that we have kids or family members with disabilities to take care of ourselves. And we encourage this at these meetings too. I always tell the parents that we have we talk in the same language, but in two ways, like the disabilities, because all of the parents and all of the facilitators are parents with kids with special needs, and we speak Spanish. We can feel very confident that we are going to be understood and we can say whatever we want in our language. And I think that's very important. And I think that's it. We can share all the challenges that we have and all the needs and in our language, in both languages.
That's wonderful. Thank you,
Thank
Cecilia.
you.
If you're just joining us, we are discussing the UC Davis Mind Institute support groups and resources that are available for families. And we are joined by 5 experts. Maribel Hernandez is a community outreach specialist. Elizabeth Morgan is the founder of Sankofa and an assistant professor in the Doctorate of Educational Leadership program at Sacramento State. Benita Shaw is a facilitator with Sankofa and a community education specialist. Cecilia Corral is a community education specialist, and Catherine Harlan Owens is a patient navigator. If you have questions, please do put them in the comment section, and we will be sure to pose them to our experts toward the end of the discussion. Dr. Morgan, I know you've done some research into the methods that Black parents use to advocate for care of their autistic children. Wondering if you can talk a little bit more about some of those challenges that parents face and what you've learned through not only your research, but also in facilitating Sankofa over the years about this.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think the thing that I've learned, and what I think is really has facilitated Sankofa into being, the research has allowed us to get insight and just, I think, confirm that families have and are the answers, right? So when we're talking about, really providing intervention that meets the needs, the individual needs of the child, then we have to make sure that we are not only including the family, but including the family context, which includes their culture, their race, their experience in life. So that's really thinking about all of the intricacies of what makes a person themselves, right? So I think a big part of the discussions and that I've had with mothers over the years has just really confirmed that it's not about families don't have advocacy skills. Absolutely, they've had the advocacy skills. It's about the context, right? The context in which their advocacy is being used. If that advocacy, if that context, if that setting, whether it be a school, a medical system, whatever type of, venue it is, if that place and the people within that place are really doing the work to provide culturally relevant, culturally competent, family-centered care, then you're thinking about how all the aspects of that child and the family are part of that intervention process, right? So that's what we've learned. And when those places are doing those things, families are able to activate their advocacy. They're able to do what's necessary to speak, on behalf of the child. And when the child has their own ability to do it, are really empowering the child to do so, right? And the adult to do so with disabilities. And so, that's what I think, Sankofa is really about, really supporting families to do that for themselves and for their children. And that's really what my work has confirmed.
And I know that you've published at least 2 studies on this. I will look for those and we'll put those in the comments too, in case anyone is interested in reading Dr. Morgan's excellent work. Thank you. I did also,
Marianne,
yeah, please.
Actually, I do want to add to that. So actually, we just published a piece that Benita is also a co-author on, and also some partners that we have there's a Sankofa Midwest that has just started up that's in Wisconsin and Michigan. We got together and really highlighted the voices of those families to talk about how Sankofa started, why it started, and the types of work that is being done. So yes, that's a great resource for families and people and providers who are interested in knowing more about this framework and how it might actually be useful for them in their region.
Awesome. We will definitely post that. That's wonderful. Congratulations to you all. I also wanted to mention that we do have one other support group we did not get to. We don't have anyone here to talk about it, but there is a sibling support group. It's for siblings of individuals who have a neurodevelopmental disability. It's going to be starting up again in the spring. It was in person and then virtual during the pandemic, like many groups, but it will be restarting as both a virtual and a sometimes in-person group in the very near future. So we'll post something about that too. They'll be taking signups for that. So we really do try to reach out to as many groups as we can. And I know that group's been very, very successful as well. That's put on by our Child Life team. Okay, moving on. Catherine, I wanted to ask you, I know that Family Navigators Parent Support Group is free. There is also another new group that does have a fee associated with it, but it sounds wonderful, self-care and wellness based. It's called Get Mindful. Could you tell us a little bit about how that one will work?
Yeah, I'd love to. This is definitely one of my favorite groups. I actually participated in it as a parent when it was a project with LEND, which is LEND is our leadership, interdisciplinary leadership training kind of program that we have at the Mind Institute, which I was a medium-term trainee in LEND. And so my husband and I participated in this group together before I started facilitating it. And I just fell in love with it because I learned so many things about practicing mindfulness and self-care. And that's really what Get Mindful is about. It is a very focused group that is 8 weeks that we really empower parents to learn and start practicing mindfulness and help educate them how they can do this, like actually go through the exercises, work the exercises, do those body scans, work on educating about, what mindfulness is and why it's so important to, be in the present non-judgmentally with yourself. We also have just a lot of parent engagement to provide that support for parents to talk to each other. There is no age requirement, which I love. So we have parents of very young children, and then we have parents of adults as well that have joined the group. It is 8 weeks. There is a fee associated with it, but scholarships are available. And I just encourage everyone to get to know more about it because I just think it's such a helpful avenue for parents to practice self-care. And you just learn so much in this 8 weeks in Get Mindful.
Sounds great. We will put information about how people can sign up for that as well. Thank you, Catherine. In addition to all of these support groups and activities, we also have a resource center at the Mind Institute, which is now open for in-person assistance on Mondays and Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can also call, so it's also available by phone. It's in both Spanish and English. Maribel, can you tell us a little bit more about the resource center and what we have to offer?
Yeah, of course. So we have all those, the pamphlets, the paper information, but like you mentioned, we are available the whole week, every weekday. Benita is doing, she's still working at home, but she's answering the English line that it's very important that we receive calls that you can imagine. There's people calling from Tokyo, there's people calling from England, there's people calling from everywhere on the planet. So Benita is taking care of those calls, and she's fantastic reaching out, the correct answers. And then we have the Spanish line, and we are open Monday and Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we can schedule an appointment if that time doesn't work for a family who wants to come and see what we have available. And we have a lot of this program, the self-determination, that Benita is very involved. She's in a few groups that they specifically work with that. So she's wonderful bringing all those materials. We have all that information about, what is available for the families in the system, the general resources, the regional centers. So it's very important that you visit the resource center and learn what is available on your community, for your family, for your loved one, living with a disability.
Benita, what sort of questions do you get from the calls? I didn't realize that you were getting international calls and questions, but a good resource. What are they asking?
Well, I first have to say, when you work and you have brilliant people behind you that work in the mine, it's easy to be able to do my job, to be able to do that. But we have people who just a recent one that came in, they wanted to have a training for a teacher they wanted to bring over from India. We have another client who wanted to bring a family member over from Tokyo. And I think that other members have gotten that information too. We have people that call from other states that are looking for resources that might be for to take families with their families, they can't, are looking for services for their family outside of their home. And I think that, for us at the Mine Institute, it's just a beautiful thing that we try to, all of us try to make sure that we don't close the door when that person calls, even though it has could have nothing to do with us at the mine. We as parents and know that that's something we want to try to help in all aspects that we can. And I think that's why we all do our job quite well, is because we really take it to heart for when that person is asking that question and do our best to try to give them a direction and give them an answer, not try to just send them to a door that's going to be closed, but send them to a resource that's truly going to be helpful for them. So while we have a short time, Mike, it comes from far and wide question wise, and I'm always happy to be able to do that. But it's the brilliant people that behind me that help me be able to answer those questions.
I love that, there are people reaching out from that far away. So your reputation obviously precedes you. We have one question that's coming through the comments, and we have just a couple more questions, then we'll be able to get to those. So if you have a question for our experts, please put it in the comments now. I know this is for Maribel and Cecilia, maybe you each take part of it. There are other Spanish resources and events. We have a lot of those, which is wonderful. There's an annual conference, there's a series of presentations. Maybe you could each take one and tell us a little bit more about it. Take your pick, conference or series of presentations. Maribel, you want to start?
Yeah, I just want to share really quick about the conference. Like you mentioned, we're coming back to in person. That transition, it has to be. We need it as community, and so we are ready. We are ready to go back in person. And this at our conference, Spanish conference, the Mine Institute Spanish conference, Learning Together, Aprendiendo Juntos. It's in October, and our plan for this year, it's going to be 2 days online and 1 day in person. So, and I also want to talk about the ADEP. That's the autism training for parents distance education. That's a model, 2 models that exist on the website. That's about behavior therapy, and it's been there for more than 10 years, so the families can have free access to that. But we have 3 years presenting this ADEP with behavior specialists every Friday at 4 in the afternoon. This is our 3rd year, and that's that's a long commitment, because we start in January and we finish in June. So every Friday at 4 in the afternoon, we're talking about behavior. Using this, that if you don't have the time to be there and you don't speak Spanish, you can check that. And I think it's available on 4 languages now. So I don't know, Cecilia, do you want to go ahead with the Let's Talk?
Yes, we have a series, the Vamos a Platicar, Let's Talk. In Spanish, they are 6 series of presentations that it was made by parents, leaders many years ago, and we are right now in Spanish doing those presentations. We are going to present this Friday the based on sorry, can you?
Yeah, actually we are presenting every Thursday. The Thursdays of this month and the first Thursday of the next month, we are presenting. This series is alive on 2014. It's present at least once a year. There is 6 presentations that we start with the adjustments alive after the diagnosis. Then we go to our challenges as a parents. Then we move to the evidence-based practice. Then we talk about, this difference between what is a special need, what is a diagnosis, what is the, all those new words that we are learning every day on this world of the disability. And then we also talk about very important about the natural supports and our kids being part of the community. So those are the 6 presentations, and it's been this month every Thursday at 7 p.m. So yeah,
That's
Jean, would you
wonderful.
like to add something?
So thank you, Maribel. I need with a little word, but you said everything perfect. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful. I wanted to add, Maribel talked about ADEPT, the training module. It's available in English, Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, and Spanish. It's on our website, and we'll put a link in the comments as well to ADEPT. It's a wonderful resource that's available. Each of you has a connection to the Mind Institute community and to people with neurodevelopmental disabilities. It might be personal, maybe professional. In a lot of cases, it may be both. I'm wondering if we could sort of go around and each of you talk about why it's important for families to reach out for support. I think sometimes people are afraid to reach out or they just don't know where to reach out. And I wondered if you could each share how that's been important in your life. You want to start, Dr. Morgan?
Yeah, and actually, because I want to chime in. So one
Sure.
of the things that is another great resource, so Maribel talked about the Let's Talk curriculum. So we have a video module series that is available on our website called Sharing Our Journey that really uses that curriculum that Maribel developed. And we made it in English and in Spanish. And those are really sharing the experiences of families who have navigated a diagnosis and early intervention in California. So one is specifically in English to support Black families and their Black parent voices and Black provider voices, and as well as providers who support Black families. And then we have our series in English, in Spanish, and they come from the families who are participating in both of those are from our 2 support groups. So that's a great resource. It's free, it's online. So please use that. And I think that really is a nice segue too into the why. So as I mentioned earlier, I am a parent of a child on the autism spectrum. We are a neurodiverse family. So my daughter is dyslexic, just like her mother. And so we have a nice mixture of neurodiversity in our family. And so we celebrate it. And it's, one of those things that, when you have this intersectional identity of being disabled, but also, being a Black disabled person, there's layers of things that we have to think about when we're interacting with society, with systems, with people. And so, our why, in my why, really is about making sure that space and those things are taken into consideration. And so we're really providing the type of supports that are necessary so that all children thrive, right? And that, all children really get a chance. And I'll just give you a quick story. So when my son first received a diagnosis, he was 2.5, and I was, eager to get involved in anything and everything that could be able to support my child. And I definitely had the privilege in that my husband worked full time and could take care of us. And so I was able to quit my job and focus on intervention. And that's not something that many people can do, but I was able to do that. And so I participated in as many groups as I can. And for the most part, I was the only Black woman in the group, besides Benita, because that's where I met Benita in many of the groups, because she was also very involved. But the community was really small. And so just really not having a space that I could go to, that I really saw representation. And we talked about things that were also, that maybe had more intricacies, right? It was more nuanced in my concerns for my child as being a Black boy. So I think that's the why, right? Really taking those considerations and making sure that is an option for families.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Morgan. All right, who would like to go next? Sharing their experience. Shall I pick
I
Benita?
think,
Oh,
oh, it's okay. Go ahead, Benita.
no, it's you, Cecilia. She's telling you to go.
Okay, sorry.
No, no worries.
You know, I have a kid with developmental disabilities too. Sergio has epilepsy, autism, and developmental delays. I have a neurotypical kid too, that daughter. And our journey definitely would be if would be my m- my journey from the to the this system, you know, like this complex, this developmental disabilities system would be very different with a family navigator. You know, if I would started you know, many years ago with that, could have done very easier, you know. But having this resources and these support groups, you know, they are so important for families to feel more confident, to navigate the system, and to feel supported. I think it's very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cecilia. Okay, Benita, you're up next.
I think the me for the why, similar to what Dr. Morgan stated, I'm a single mom, and I have two boys. One, and they were totally on the different spectrum, but different in their brilliant ways. One is considered gifted in his own right, and my oldest would say his younger brother is gifted in his own right, but it's my youngest one with a disability. But I will tell you, I think the why comes important to me with where I had a mother who was phenomenal and knew about IEPs prior to me even having my son. So that journey to start on an IEP was very helpful because it's a whirlwind, right? And realizing the support that I got from her, not having fathers present in their life, made me realize that I needed to start reaching out because I had her support because she helped me through the beginning part of that unknown world we go through when we think, oh my God, our head just keeps spinning because we're just going around and around. And I think getting into those different support groups, and similar to what Dr. Morgan said, even though I was the only one, that knowledge gave me a lot of power. I believe it truly did. It gave me a lot of power to help me to navigate and fight for all those years for my son, and being able to create things that are important for him, you know, and to him, is what made it in those groups. In those groups, when I found the groups, especially with Sankofa, to be able to sit in a room to say, you know, I'm really frustrated, not by the educational system, not too, but the simple fact that, you know, we have a fear factor because of his height and his size. And being in that group, they have the support. It says, you know, I get it. You know, they're being expelled or suspended because of the simple fact of their so-called feeling that they're being defiant. And really, it is not that manner, but it seems to go with our loved ones, that particular word. And so I think those groups help to gain, to feel that you're not lonely. It helps to gain that knowledge. And it helps you have a safe place to be able to vent. And I'm always telling my parents, knowledge is power, you know, and having that group. And you figure, look where I'm at now, years later, with our relationship with Dr. Morgan, and you have that, you know. And I think you need that connection. Even with my other colleagues, that connection. You can text somebody in the middle of the night, I think I'm going crazy, you know, in little ways, and you think, no, you're not, and you just vent it out, you know. And let's just really talk. If you see all these parents being on their head, you need that, especially if there's someone who didn't have the significant other, the parent there, to have these beautiful women here to be able to do that. That truly was supportive for me. We're dealing with a lot of parents who are single parents, and they need to have that other parent that says, I get it. It could just be as simple as I get it. Not necessarily they're giving you a direction, because you already have that knowledge, but to know to bounce that thought off to someone to say, oh yeah, you're good. Keep going. Text me in a few days, whatever that might be. It's just a beautiful thing to have. And it's something that is needed.
Yeah, and it's so meaningful that you're able to provide that for other parents now too. You know, that connection. Thank you. Thank you, Benita. Okay, Maribel, would you like to share?
Yeah, sure. So I invite the families to come because you know, I really believe all the things that Dr. Morgan and Benita share, that and Cecilia shared too. That's very important, to talk about that we are parents. We have been there. We know how hard it is to knock the door and they give you 10 resources. Out of those 10 resources, none work. So it's very important to find that really phone number, that connection. And I really believe that we need a collaboration. We need to stop, saying, oh, they're supposed to be doing, they're supposed to be, no. What we want is to help the families to do that collaboration, okay, this is the right person that can help you. So be careful, be nice, be kind, ask the right question with this institution because they are in charge of this service. And that's what we do here. And we work so hard on that. I'm surprised that Benita didn't mention that because that's, those are her words. She has always beautiful words for the families. We need to recognize that when we receive a diagnosis, we feel that we are alone. We have mentioned that, all of us, and that's a reality. And then I'm going to focus on my Spanish speaking community. We have different challenges because, and I mean, no, doesn't mean that other communities doesn't have the same challenges because, as an immigrant, you have different challenges. So we speak Spanish, we are being there. So I really invite you to call Cecilia, to call the Spanish line, and it has an African-American member of the community, contact Benita, reach out to Catherine. They're doing fantastic, wonderful things in English. When I started to work here at the Mine Institute, I was worried because it was nothing open for the families who speak English. And now we have all these wonderful resources. We have all these wonderful people working, parents working to parents. That's just fantastic. And I just want to finish this with two more things. First of all, we have to put on our heads that the system is not here to judge our family or judge our kids. They're here to support. That's the commitment. That's what they're here for. And the other thing, what I love about the Mind Institute is that it's not about to find a cure. And those are Steve Ruther's words. They're not my words, but I want to close with that. He always say, what I love about the Mind Institute is that they're not only looking for the cure, but they're looking and they're creating this practices, services to improve the quality of the family and the person living with a disability. So welcome to the Mind Institute.
Thank you so much, Mary Bell. I could tell that came from the heart. Thank you. Okay, Catherine, you're up last.
Oh, you guys, I just love everything everyone said. So I don't know how I can say anything better, but I just, I'm so grateful that I have this community, all these wonderful women in front of me, because when I received diagnosis for my son, he's 8 now, but he was a little bit over 3. There was no family navigator who contacted me. I was basically given a sheet of paper and a stack of diagnostic information, and that was it. I was very lucky to be really well guided by the schools and got a lot of help there with how to kind of start. But everything that everyone said, it's resonating so much with someone that I absolutely love, who's Dr. Kirsten Neff. She wrote a fantastic book on self-compassion. And one of the elements that she talks about with self-compassion is having to find shared humanity. Like, you cannot find your self-compassion if you do not find your community, and if you do not connect with other people and know that you're not alone. And I think that's so much of what we do with Family Navigator, so much of what so many of these parent-led programs at the Mind Institute are about, is connecting to that community, because the amount of stress reduction, the amount of just, like Benita said, knowing that you have someone to reach out to with just any question, or just to, sometimes my families just want to talk. They just, want to literally have someone that they can send an email about. The other day about Binder Organization, I had a family who sent me a picture of her wonderful organization of medical records. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, good job. Like, so those things, they're just so important in addition to the resource navigation. So I just love that element of that shared humanity. And that's what I really believe Family Navigator, Mind Institute, and everyone on this call understands so well. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you all. That was really meaningful and very moving. I really appreciate you all sharing that. You got very personal. That was wonderful. We do have one question from a viewer who asks, is there a group for parents of adults with autism who live together? Thinking maybe would PACT, Catherine? Does anyone have a thought on that one?
I would think, yeah, that would be a good place to go for asking that question, trying to connect with that community would be PACT, because that's definitely adult focused. So I think that would be a good first step for sure.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, that's it on our questions. And again, just a reminder to check the comment section because we've posted a lot of meaningful links, and we're going to post a few more as soon as we are done here. Look for some of Dr. Morgan's research on there. And then this video will live on Facebook, but it will also live on the Mind Institute's YouTube channel indefinitely. We have a lot of other great videos like this, videos about research and tips and more. So check out our YouTube channel as well. And thank you all so much, all of you, for being with us today. So appreciate your time. And we encourage all of you to please share this post with somebody if you might have family or friends who you think would enjoy and maybe learn from it. And thank you so much for joining us for this Facebook Live.
The UC Davis Mind Institute was founded in 1998 with the promise to reduce and prevent the disabilities that can be associated with autism and other neurodevelopmental conditions. Every day, our clinicians and researchers make progress on that promise. Our groundbreaking research on autism, Fragile X syndrome, chromosome 22q11.2 deletion syndrome, ADHD, and other conditions associated with disability are helping affected individuals achieve their fullest potential. Please visit our website or our social media platforms to find out more about current studies, upcoming events, and how you can help make a difference.